Welcome to Around the House, sponsored by Romac Building Supply. I'm your host, Don Magruder. Today, we're going to talk about the housing market from the real estate point of view and from the building and construction side. It's going to be a great conversation, and this market update is for mid-June 2021, so it's pertinent information to help you make the best decision. As with anything, this is a snapshot of today's activity, so things could change. But I think you're going to enjoy this wonderful conversation. Joining me today is Tammy Dunseath. She's a broker associate realtor with Remax Premier Realty. They cover the Villages, Lake, Marion, Sumter County. Tammy, you're probably one of the most wired up realtors. You know what's going on. And so you're going to give us your perspective from the real estate end. First off, how's business going, Tammy?
Business is fantastic. It's a little on the crazy side, but it's fantastic. So I can't complain.
Romac Building Supply does a whole house commodity index, and we update it every mid-month, and we've been doing that since April 2005. The biggest surprise about this month's index, despite a settling down of the lumber markets settled down about 19.1%. Our whole house commodity index still went up 1.4%. Two things, lumber remains still at record highs almost. Versus last year, you're looking at 150% higher. So don't be fooled that a 19% decrease is significant. We're going to have to see months and months of those type of decreases. But the other thing which I warn builders and homeowners mostly alike, we're seeing massive shortages and allocations and price increases in all other sectors of the building material market. For example, I'll run down on some things. For example, last month, wire mesh went up 38.5%. I did mention that spruce was down 19.5%. But one thing, interestingly enough, plywoods and sheathings were up 7.1%. The sheathings and CDX market have not settled down. Truss prices were flat to about almost 1% higher. And the reason why is metal plates have become very short. They're on allocations. And we saw a whopping 15% increase in metal truss planks. To give you, for example, pocket door frames. We've seen a 6% increase in pocket door frame prices because you cannot get the metal for the pocket door frames. What used to take 4 weeks to get the hardware to build pocket frames, they're now 18 and 24 weeks. It's amazing. Rolled seal went up 8.1%. Engineered wood went up 16%. Roofing added another 6.7%, and roofing shingles remain stubbornly hard to get. You'll have to wait for particular colors and various styles. Metal roofing accessories went up 15%, all metal accessories. We saw an 8.2% increase in drywall. Windows were up 12%, and the lead times continue to expand out. Most window companies are 16 to 30, and in some cases, 40 weeks out to get windows. Exterior door pricing went up 7.5%. Interior door pricing was up 5 to 6%, and cement siding added 4.2%. Plus, on top of that, most of these lines have announced additional increases. So what we're seeing is huge problems with trucking, huge problems with supply, huge problems with raw materials, especially metal-related products. The trade issues from the last 3 or 4 years with steel and metal continue to persist, and those are creating havoc. We didn't even talk about the labor markets. The labor markets remain very tight. Labor is increasing every day, so there's a lot of headwinds. And the thing I would caution, once again, builders and homeowners, do not get fooled by just seeing the lumber market settle. Basically what you're seeing in the lumber markets are shaking out the speculation and cash. But most people predict at the end of the day, these lumber markets will remain stubbornly much higher than the pre-pandemic levels. And here's the caveat. They're saying hurricane season is going to be bad this year. One prediction is Florida's going to have a 75% chance of getting hit by a hurricane. If we were to have a hurricane this year, there is no safety stock as far as OSB, drywall, roofing, and other essential products. And I'm concerned that we could exacerbate the supply shortage, increase price, but more importantly, there will not be products for people to rebuild. I know that's a quick synopsis of where we're at in the building supply, and we'll go in more details. But Tammy, I'd sort of like you to give us our flash synopsis on what's happening in the real estate market.
So good information. And the nice thing about the information, I guess I'm always like a silver lining kind of person, is that with new construction being kind of a challenge, that means in my field where I sell, pre-owned homes, it brings them to a level where no longer competing with new construction. In a way, it's almost like new resales are almost more in demand than new construction, where a year ago, that was the opposite.
Well, and that's an important point, Tammy. Mm-hmm. Most builders have no inventory. Right. I heard a story this week of a builder doing a house. He said 5 people stopped while it was under construction and saying, has the house been sold and that they would like to buy it, don't even put it on the market.
Right, yeah. And that's very common. You'll see on the MLS today, you'll see on Zillow and different sites that you'll just see like a plat of dirt and then like a, the floor plan, and people are selling it even before they break ground, so that's really, really a very normal thing now. And even those houses are having multiple offers because people are like, at least someday I'm going to get a house, whereas, in the normal market, it's even harder. So something I thought was really kind of interesting is months of inventory. We talked about this last time. In the normal market, when life is just normal, things are just going on smooth, is a 6-month supply of homes. That means you've got kind of this normal, like you can negotiate price, you can find a home you're looking for, you can get a decent price for your home, but everybody's kind of on an even playing field. In that last time we saw 6-month inventory was in 2017, 18 times. So Florida has always been, and the Tri-County area has always been a little bit more slightly toward the seller side. But even in February of 1 year ago, in 2020, we had a 4-month supply, which was okay. Like 4 months is good.
But it's still tight.
It's still tight. And
in other words, that means the buyer's probably going to have to accept something they don't really want.
Right, or they're going to have to pay more than what they might have paid if they were in a different market. Yep. In the villages, you might pay $200,000 for a 1,100 square foot home, where in other places it would be half that. So you're just gonna have to kind of go with what the market's saying. But what's crazy is, okay, so last year this time 4 months inventory. Today we have a 1 month inventory, but it's only because like the market calculates in months. We don't have like how many weeks of the month inventory.
So we could be down to 2 weeks.
We could, and let me show you. This is so crazy. Just this last 7 days. 434 homes, and I included the Tri-County area on the multiple listing service. 434 homes went under contract. Only 211 homes hit the market. That would indicate if you kept that trend, you have a half month. Yeah. So it's tight, and then it's driving prices up. So just a fun fact: average home price is $280,000, and that's including the whole Tri-County area. Where in 5 years ago it was 140. So we've doubled in the average price point. But you and I just had a conversation about this. 5 years ago, 6 years ago, we were still under market with prices.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And I think that's the discussion that needs to be had. We're at a home outside of the villages, just a few miles from the villages in Lady Lake. And this home was built in 2005 during the boom. This home, before the pool was put in, had a cost value, the actual cost to build it, of $492,000.
In 2005.
In 2005. Mm-hmm. This is where I think people need to understand what's happened to housing. Only this year has the appraisal of this home gone above $492,000.
Right.
And that was 16 years ago. And the other thing you need to realize, if you take the Romac Building Supply Whole House Commodity Index and compare it to where it was then, this index today is 130 or 40% more than 2005. So the cost versus 2005 and today is considerably more. This house would probably, if you built it on raw cost, you're looking at $700,000. So right. There's a reset. I think a lot of people don't have this in their mind, Tammy. There's a reset, and we talked about this earlier. This isn't 2005. This is not the old housing boom.
No.
We need to clarify that. A lot of people have in their mind, oh, this is just another housing bubble.
No.
It's not, is it?
It's different. And I think that for me, when I heard you talk about your whole housing index, it gives me comfort. Like I would be more nervous if I were on the construction side of things, because I'd be like, okay, I can't wait for things to kind of become more available more than anything. So you can get back to work, get back to selling homes. So if you're waiting a year and a half to your home to be complete so you can sell it, that would be really stinky if you were a small builder and, kind of only had a few homes in the pipeline. But for the housing market, what's cool is we're back to prices of 2005 and 6. And the only reason why prices dropped in 2005 and 6, so we saw the prices in 9, 10, and 11, was because of the mortgage market. People were giving away money to people who couldn't afford the money for those homes. And so we saw a ridiculous amount of foreclosures after that boom. Well, the cool thing is right now people are paying homes in cash, a lot of cash sales today. And those who are getting loans, they're getting loans that they can afford because of all the checks and balances that have happened as a result of the crash. People can afford the prices today, and they have the jobs and all the verifications. I tell you, my buyers who go through the mortgage process feel like they're they're going through the ringer because they have to prove so much to make sure that they can afford that home. And so I don't see foreclosures being in our future. I think foreclosures are not going to be a thing.
No, and I'll tell you the main reason why I say this is not like 2005. Everything you said, but one more other reason. People are living in these homes.
Right.
These are the people who are lining up 20 deep to buy a home. They're not buying it to speculate or resell it. They're trying to buy a home to live in. I saw an interesting fact the other day that suggested that the millennials started moving to housing 6 months or so prior to the pandemic, and the pandemic has exacerbated this move by millennials to the housing market. And we have this big group of people, one of the largest group ever, moving to the housing market, and we have no inventory, no supply, and I don't know how this resolves. This is not going to resolve in weeks. I know a lot of people say, oh, you can wait a few months and it's going. I'll be honest with you, I see this housing market being higher and strong through 22, maybe 23. And I don't know how you view it. The sooner you buy, probably the less price you're going to pay.
I think about people who bought a home last year and felt like they were buying high. And I feel like they're probably just loving life right now, and then the year before they felt like they bought high and they're probably really loving life. So I think they're going to have that same attitude for a couple more years, just like you said. But I do feel like we're going to get back to what the normal inflation should be, or the increase. So normally, in the normal days, like 3, 4, 5% increase every year was kind of standard. People would calculate, hey, this home's worth what it should be because last year it was 3 or 4% less. Right now we're seeing sometimes in the villages, we're seeing 20, 25% increase, and in some family markets as well. But nationwide standard right now is about 12 to 15% increase in 2021. But I think that's going to where it's going to level off. So we're not going to do this. We're just going to be like, we're going to kind of flatten like the diagonal a little bit less to where we're going to get about a 5%, 6% rather than.
But let me give you one fact, the reason why I think we're going to see some significant inflation over the next year. Now, understand this whole house commodity index. We take a 2,000 square foot home and we calculate the wholesale cost every month from the foundation material to the rooftop. Everything structurally to build a house. We don't include decor, electrical, plumbing, HVAC, but everything to build that house. Since January, our index, and this is a weighted index, so this would be a true cost increase, a 25.1% increase to build that house since January of this year, less than 6 months. Here's the stunning number. Since last June, to build the same 2,000 square foot house, you're going to spend 64% more, and that's including a 19.1% drop in lumber this month.
Right.
So when you have that much inflation in building, that's going to drive the price. Right. I always said, but the analogy I always use is new cars drive the price of used cars.
Sure.
And that's the same thing applicable to housing.
Yeah. And that's why we're seeing, from a 4-month inventory to a 1-month inventory, because people are no longer lining up at new construction. They're like, hey, I can maybe turn this, existing home, or I can at least get into this existing home in the next year. Interesting fact, but we are seeing more homes go back on the market this year than last year. And so this is an interesting fact that I think, and the reason why I I think that the 20%, 15% in pre-sale or pre-owned homes is gonna kind of get it more like a 5, 6, 7, 8%, is because appraisers are not over appraising homes. So unless it's cash, or we're doing this in the market today where we're putting in addendums to where if the home doesn't appraise, the buyer can put up the difference. Unless you're able to do that, a lot of homes are going back on the market because appraisers, they're just not putting a number down, so they're kind of helping stabilize the market in a way, if there's such a thing,
I will say one thing though, to your point, I heard the other day that a builder said that he has not lost a deal when he had to go back to the homeowner, say you got to put 30, 40% down. People are not flinching. And
understanding it.
And there's another fact that's different this time. According to the Fed, there's $1.5 trillion in cash sitting in households in America. So there's a lot of cash out there, even though me or you may not have it. There are a lot of other folks who have cash.
Well, it's the thing to invest in, I tell you. I mean, it's definitely.
Okay, we've done a good job identifying where we're at, the problems and all that. Now what to do?
Right.
I'll let you go first.
So if you are in the market to buy here in Florida, in Central Florida specifically, and that's where we are, act quick. If you're able to buy in cash. Now, this is fun. I've had my recent buyers have been able to get with their financial advisor, and I have a great one who is able to help so that you can actually get cash from your against your assets and your investments. So it's kind of a loan, but it's not a loan to the seller side, to their eyes. And they're able to buy homes in cash, and then after they buy it, they're able to refi or with cash out. So if you're able to buy in cash, buy in cash. Also, don't be stubborn about the price. Probably it's going to go over asking price. We've never, it's been a long time since we've been in a market where we're like, hey, we're asking this much, but we're expecting this much. But that's sort of what's normal right now. You are going to get multiple offer situations. I also suggest finding an agent who knows how to work with the tools of escalations, of addendums that take out appraisals, and also who can overcome inspection issues. So the other reason why homes are going back on the market is the inspection reports. And most buyers tend to be nervous. They're in this hyped up, they've just had had to win multiple offer situations. They know there's no houses to go to, and they see inspection report with tons of circles of red around all these little cracks, And if you've got a good agent who's got good connections that can overcome, realize that we can overcome this, and then that's what you need to do. Being as picky as we might have been 3 years ago, just can't be, because you're just not going to have a home to move into.
Well, and that's the thing about you can always correct imperfections, but finding a house. And Tammy, I agree with you 100%. I honestly think you got to pre-qualify yourself. Get everything in line. But you better, if you see a house at a price and they're going to take it, you better snap on it, because it's just when the half-month supply, everybody's looking for a house. Tammy, thank you for your update. Now, I guess let me talk about the builder and homeowner side if you're building a project. First thing you better do is better plan promptly. You need to get good plans, and you need to plan your details completely out. The other big piece of advice I would give everybody, avoid special orders. If it's not in stock, be very concerned, because people will say, I can get something for you in 8 weeks, and then 25 weeks later, they're still not getting it. For example, at Romac Building Supply, what we've done, we've added a bunch of stock windows and stock doors. And a lot of times our builders are saying, hey, I need windows. And we're saying to them, you know what, it's going to take you 20 to 30 weeks to get these windows, but we have these windows at a stock size that are close to your sizes that you can buy from. The other thing is monitor your price. Don't be fooled by the lumber markets. A lot of people are just looking at the lumber markets. They'll see it correct, but we're having a terrible time in the other sectors like drywall, roof, and metal products especially. And keep this in mind, if the United States passes this infrastructure bill, which they're talking about $1 trillion, I have no idea where they're going to get the steel and concrete from. We already have major issues with steel and concrete. And you really need to plan your projects, be patient, but make sure you can get everything you need for the project. And then the other thing, you need to build some pad in on your estimates. Prices will go up. I do not see how a lot of this resolves. It could get worse. And Lord help us all if we have a major hurricane strike. At that point, I don't have an answer for you. So I know my news is probably a little more bleaker than Tammy's, but Tammy, all in all, it's a good time to live in Florida. It's a beautiful day here outside the villages. It's a wonderful day to be here, and this is the reason why people come to Florida.
Absolutely. Who wouldn't want to be here? Yeah.
Tammy, if someone wanted to talk to you about their house, either buying it or selling it, you're one of the top experts around here. How can they reach you?
Well, you can always call me, and my number is 352-512-4419, or email me at tammydunseath@gmail.com. That works as well. So I'll be happy to help anybody who needs help. And on that note, real quick, it is a great time to sell, especially if you're downsizing. Yep. I must just say there's a lot of families moving in. There's a lot of workers coming in because there's a lot of industries coming to Central Florida. And if you're downsizing, maybe an empty nester, this is the time. This is the time.
And the other thing I hear, everybody wants a pool.
Everybody wants a pool.
Now I'm going to tie in something from my construction standpoint. If you order a pool today, I understand it may be a year and a half before you can get a pool installed. So that's the reason why people that's the reason why people are wanting a pool. Well, Tammy Dunseath, thank you so much for being our guest today. You are the brightest and smartest and the best realtor here in Lake and Sumter and Marion County. Thank you for everything. And thank you for watching Around the House today. Be sure to go to aroundthehouse.tv for more information about trends and other products. Until next time, we will see you around the house.